Alright, this video is going to be how cheap can you build a reliable forged internal motor good for about 500 horsepower. This video I'm going to be going over the main parts of the motor that you need to call it a forged internal motor, and this motor should be good for more than 500 horsepower. Alright, so we're going to attack the weakest part of the motor from the factory. And this is going to be the rods, and since you're buying rods, you're going to want to replace the pistons as well, of course. The rods in the earlier VQ motors are known to fail at around 400 to 450 horsepower. This is going to be one of the most important parts of the build, is getting yourself a set of forged pistons and rods. So like I show here in this picture and pricing, you're going to want to get yourself a bundle package of the pistons and rods. If you buy these separately, it is very easy to go over $1,600 for the lowest end pistons and rods. So now that we got the main part that everyone thinks about out of the way, we're going to get into other little things that many people might not think about. And as you can see, the total rounds up to $1,124 so far. Next up, you want to get yourself some good head gaskets so you don't lift your heads off your block when you're using forced induction. Since we're going as budget friendly on the build as we can, I found these Tommy head gaskets coming in at $162. These are fantastic head gaskets and are built highly similar to the high value HKS head gaskets that run over $400. So with these added into the build, we're at $1,286 total. Next up, we're going to go into some high-end bearings and thrust washers. I'm going to all include these in one price because they're all basically in one package. Alright, I found these ACL thrust washers for $8, and then I got some Cleveite main bearings for $60. And I also got some Cleveite connecting rod bearings for $72. After that, you're going to want to get yourself some new main bolts because the stock bolts are torque to yield, which means you can't reuse them. So the stock bolts are plenty to suffice for about 500 horsepower. So these are only $56 and they'll get you to that 500 horsepower range. With all that added up, we're at a total budget of $1,482. And as I suggest in all of my videos, I would only recommend Nissan OEM gaskets for the internals of your motor. After all, if you went with an aftermarket gasket set, you're probably only saving about $50 and you have a much higher fail rate with those. This gasket set here is going to pretty much have almost everything you need to rebuild your motor with the forged internals. You're also going to have a couple extra pieces like the head gaskets that you can sell and get some money back after. After we add that up to the build total, we're coming in at a total of $1,716 and we're almost done. So the last thing is, some of you guys might laugh at this, but OEM Juke cylinder head bolt kit is actually better than the 350Z head bolts from factory. This kit is extremely affordable at $50 and they are direct fit with the VQ35. These head bolts are known to hold 500 horsepower and up. They are a great alternative to buying the standard ARP head studs that cost 4 times the amount. With all that aside, this is pretty much everything you need to build your motor to hold about 500 horsepower or more. This is a great alternative to spending thousands and thousands of dollars, as what I have in this list should have no problem holding 500 horsepower. And with all that added up, pretty much all the parts you're going to need to have a 500 horsepower forged internal motor, you're coming at under $1,800 for parts alone. So with $1,766, you yourself can have a forged internal motor sitting in your 350Z, good for up to 500 plus horsepower. Now I'm going to get into a little bit of the machining process and how much you can expect to spend there, going as budget friendly as possible without cutting too many corners. So once you have a good clean block to start with, you're going to need to hone the cylinders. To do this, you're going to need to make sure that your cylinder walls do not have any bad marks, scoring, scratching, or anything like that. You're also going to need to make sure the block is extremely clean. And in order to do this, you're going to just need to either take it down to a machine shop and have them professionally clean it, or you could sit there cleaning it for hours. Of course, this is a budget-friendly build, so I'm going to assume that you're going to clean it yourself extremely well. Once your block is extremely clean, you can now start the honing process. There are local automotive stores that rent hones out for free. Make sure the hone is in great condition and it doesn't have any warpage to it. I personally would not really recommend this route because it is not the best hone anyway. They usually have a 3-prong hone that doesn't really give you that 45-degree scoring that you really need to build the motor. If you are going to go this route, it is all free and your cylinder walls will be ready to go. So the only thing really in the machining process that you really probably should pay for would be resurfacing the heads. This is really not expensive. It's typically about $80 for the pair. And this is just to make sure that they have a really good seat on your block and they're not going to cause warpage and end up blowing a head gasket. It is also a really good idea to make sure that your heads are pressure tested and your valves aren't leaking. If your motor is in good condition and you had good compression, you really shouldn't really have to rebuild your heads. Of course, it is all recommended, but this is a budget build and is not something that you absolutely have to do. So as you can see from this entire video, building a VQ35 is not as expensive as some people think. Of course, this video wasn't the exact complete proper way to do things, but it will give you a built motor that will hold 500 horsepower no problem. And your motor is rebuilt in the end and you spent less than $2,000 to basically have a new motor. So whether you decided to up the compression for that naturally aspirated build or whether you decided to lower compression for a forced induction build, this is pretty much going to be a general number on how to have a forged internal motor at a very affordable price. I hope this has helped some of you guys make up your mind on building your motor. All in all, even if you pay somebody to assemble your full motor, maybe $1,000, you're under $3,000 for a fully built motor that is properly assembled by a professional. When I was ready to do this process, I, like you, have read lots of forums of people telling you need $15,000 to $20,000 to have a built motor in your 350Z. It is nowhere near that, and hope this video showed and proved that. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. I create plenty of more content just like this, and please check out my other videos. Thanks again. See you later.